the ACU football team took advantage of some cardinal sins to shut out Incarnate Word. I'm Sharonee Morosky.
And I'm Grant Boone. The Cats now ride a 2-game win streak into another interdenominational showdown tonight against Houston Baptist. Full immersion into ACU football begins now on the Ken Collums Show. Welcome to Week 5 of the Ken Collums Show from the JMC Network studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Grant Boone, joined by ACU junior Sharonee Morosky and the head coach of the ACU football Wildcats, Ken Collums. 21-0, ACU defeats Incarnate Word in the Southland Conference opener, not just for your two teams, you and Incarnate Word, but also for the entire Southland Conference. 1-0, leading the Southland Conference. I know it's early. But whenever you have standings, you want to be at the top of them, don't you?
We're 1-0 and we're leading the league right now. So
off to a good start. I mean, that was a great way to kick off the conference season. First conference game since 1972, and however you look at it, you're 1-0.
That's right. And when you look at all that, the history of the Southland Conference and ACU, you know, it doesn't really matter leading up to the game, but now that you look back and it's like, you know what, it's pretty neat just how history has played out, and we're back in the Southland.
All right, last week we gave you a hard time about the lack of interceptions going on, and then the freshman Sam Denmark, he goes and gets 2 this past game.
How about that?
How did that help?
Yeah, I mean, he is so instinctive. He's just, I mean, he's a little guy. You know, he's a true freshman. He's a rookie out there running around, making a lot of tackles, and he's always in the right spot, which tells you that he's instinctive. And up to this point, he just hadn't been able to make those plays. People would throw in cuts right over him. I mean, the ball would just barely miss him. And you know, he was in the right spot on Saturday, though. It's fun to watch.
Well, we'll talk about that suffocating performance by your defense a little bit later on in our show. ACU defeats Incarnate Word 21-0. We'll look back at the highlights and break down, give you some analysis from the coach on that big conference opening win over the Cardinals of Incarnate Word when we come back on the Ken Collums Show. Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show. There were only 5 shutouts in all of Division I football last weekend, and one of them was delivered by ACU, which dropped a goose egg on the Cardinals of Incarnate Word. With a look at the highlights, here's Daniel Zepeda.
The Wildcats kicked off Southland Conference play last Saturday at Shotwell Stadium, where rival Incarnate Word looked to steal a win on the road. ACU fans braved the rainy weather conditions to cheer on the hometown purple and white. In the first quarter, junior wide receiver Jace Hudson makes the catch, throws on the brakes, and then takes off for a 65-yard touchdown to give ACU an early 7-0 lead. The Incarnate Word Cardinals would attempt a field goal, but senior defensive end Nick Richardson comes over and blocks the kick, and safety Angel Lopez would recover the ball for the Wildcat. Sophomore quarterback Parker McKenzie would find junior wide receiver Cedric Gilbert on a 70-yard pass at the end of the first quarter. The Wildcats defense would dominate the game as freshman linebacker Sam Denmark recorded his first interception of the season in the second quarter on an Incarnate Word 3rd and 25. The rushing game was effective for the Wildcats as both sophomore running backs Adrian Duncan and freshman running back Randy Gober combined for 80 yards and a touchdown. Gober finds the end zone on this 1-yard touchdown run, capping off a 14-play, 54-yard drive to move ACU ahead 21-0 at the end of the third quarter. But the defense was the story of the game as Denmark picks off yet another pass in the red zone, keeping the Cardinals off the board. McKenzie finds senior wide receiver DeMarcus Thompson on a couple of times here, as this run would go for 49 yards into UIW territory. Thompson recorded 4 catches for 67 yards for ACU on the afternoon. Sophomore kicker Nick Grau was the only dark spot on a nearly perfect afternoon from the Wildcats. Grau missed 3 field goals on the day, a 43, 25, and 44-yard attempt, after making his previous 16 field goals and PATs. Even with the struggling Grau, the Wildcats were able to cruise to victory and even the team's record to 2-2. McKenzie would finish the game 21 of 33 with 329 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it was the Wildcat defense that secured the win as the team shut out its first opponent in 2 years. They gave up just 9 first downs to UIW and held the team to 113 yards of total offense.
All right, Daniel, thank you. 21-0 the final score, ACU over Incarnate Word. Coach, you won the toss last Saturday at Shotwell, and you deferred to the second half. You wanted your defense on the field first, and why not? They had forced 4 punts out of the last 5 possessions for Troy the previous Saturday night, and they give you immediately a 3-and-out on Saturday. They started well, and they ended well.
Yes, and I've enjoyed watching them play. We've gotten better and better on defense, cleaned up some stuff. We're getting more defenders involved, D-line guys. You see young guys rolling in there pretty regularly now, and that's what you want to see. As a head coach, you just want to the overall health of your offense, of your and your defense. You just want to make sure that you're progressing, and how you progress and how we know the future of this thing is going to be really good is we're getting a lot of people involved, a lot of young people involved, and so I enjoy watching our defense play. It doesn't surprise me that they forced a 3-and-out after an opening play gadget. And
yeah, they go
the old flea flicker.
They go flea flicker. It wasn't even close. You guys had it well defended. LaMarcus Allen had his first career sack wiped off because of an offsides penalty against ASU. He comes back and gets another.
That's right.
But A.J. Tolbert, Trevon Moore seeing some time. You talked before the season started that you thought depth on D-line might have been the most important unit on the field, the most important thing you had going into this season.
Oh, there's no doubt. If you don't have depth on your offensive and defensive line, you're gonna be in trouble, especially when you play 12 weeks in a row and play the the teams that we're about to play and the teams we have played. You better have, just for sheer health of your defensive line. People get dinged up. I mean, it's such a violent game. It's just about compressing and expanding space. And and people get hurt in there. People get dinged up, and it's really good to get Nick Richardson off the field, where he can take a break, now get back in there and get after that quarterback. And we're doing a good job of doing that.
You know, last year at the Houston Baptist game, we met William Moore, the brother of Donald Moore. Now he's on your team wearing number 47. He's seeing an increasing number of snaps. A guy we don't talk enough about, I don't think, is Lynn Grady. This is a guy that plays just about every special team snap. He's on the field almost all the time on defense. Led the team with 10 tackles and some bone-jarring hits. Lynn Grady's violent, isn't he?
Lynn Grady is all over the place. He is one of my favorite players to watch right now. If you're watching our games, you need to know where number 7 is, because he plays. He is developing a knack for just being in the box, reacting to blocking schemes. Because he's been a safety. Yeah. We moved him closer to the ball, and that takes some adjustment. And some people, when you do that, their tackling is the last thing to come, but he is a tackling machine right now, playing really hard. One play in particular, we blitz him off the edge. He grabs the running back with one hand, grabs his jersey, and then, of course, he is falling down, but then he shimmies himself up the guy's leg and tackles him for a loss. I mean, it's fun to watch, and that's what our defense does. They're going to play hard, and they're going to run to the ball.
They also created 2 turnovers last week, one of them on our play of the game. It was, you mentioned a gadget play that Incarnate Word ran on the first play. Watch this gadget play. They're lining up first for a field goal, then they shift into an offensive look, and Sam Denmark gets his second pick of the game.
Sure, we covered that look, believe it or not, before the game in a walkthrough, but it's one thing talking about it in the walkthrough, but it's one thing reacting to it in the game in the right way. And our guys were in the right spot. Coach Doolin put them there, and of course Sam made a great play, stuck it with one hand, and then I don't know, ran 20 yards or so.
Not bad.
It took him a while to get him down, so I was just saying, protect the ball. Just give us the ball.
This game obviously was about defense. Offensively, frustrating a bit. You go 9 plays on the first drive. You wind up having to punt. That really would kind of be a harbinger of what you would see. Not bad offense, just not finishing drives. I will say this. You had a couple more huge plays. Your offense now has had 9 plays of 40 yards or more. Last season, with all those great offensive skill guys, there were 14 in 11 games,
Yeah.
14 40-plus yard plays, already 9 this year. That's not bad.
That's right. And the big plays come and go, and you can't ever count on them. But you know what? We'll take them, and they sure are. They're fun to watch when a guy breaks out and scores a long touchdown.
Yeah, you had enough of them last week. 21-0 the final score. As we go to break, take a look at last week's scores in the Southland Conference, brought to you by University Park Apartments. And take note, there is Southland Conference rival Northwestern State. A field goal at the buzzer to defeat in-state rival Louisiana Tech. We're coming back in a moment on the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
As ACU travels to Houston, I took a look at the last time we met up. It was a reunion for some and a last season for others. I looked into where some of ACU's most recent memorable players are now. Last year, ACU football won a memorable 69-12 game against the Houston Baptist Huskies. A huge part of this victory was ACU's wide receiver Taylor Gabriel, who had 174 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in the night. Gabriel had 31 career touchdowns, the 6th highest in ACU history. He's also ranked second in catches, yards, and touchdown receptions. In his senior year alone, Gabriel recorded 76 passes for 1,060 yards with 10 touchdowns. He graduated this spring and is now making a name for himself with the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, I'm excited, but at the same time, I just want to go out there and be prepared. So if that means me staying here longer and going through film and making sure I'm ready and prepared, I feel like I need to do that. So I just want to be prepared and just go out there and do my best. I'm a rookie. I'm still learning day by day from the older guys. So every day is a growing pain, and I'm just growing through this offense and just being in the NFL. I just feel like my ability, my speed, and just me being physical, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't think that I would be physical, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that I'm prepared going into the week, and I feel like me having great practices throughout the week, I feel like that'll help me.
Also a star player last season was Charkandrick West, the only player in ACU history to put up over 2,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards, and 750 kickoff return yards. West is now on the Kansas City Chiefs roster. Former ACU quarterback John David Baker had a historic senior season last year, setting single-season records in passing yards, completions, touchdown passes, and total offensive plays. Baker is now a graduate assistant coach for the team. Last year, the day after ACU's game, ACU alums Danielle Manning, safety for the Houston Texans, and Daryl Richardson, running back for the St. Louis Rams, met up to compete in ACU football come full circle. It's always great to see our former Wildcats succeed, and who knows who will be at today's game. While football gets ready to play the Huskies, other ACU sports finally came back to Abilene. Here's Hannah Little with more.
Thanks, Shara. The women's soccer team opened conference play last weekend with a win over Sam Houston State, as ACU's third goal was made in the 76th minute from freshman Bailey Mitchell. The Wildcats followed up with the loss on Sunday against Houston Baptist, as the Huskies defeated the Wildcats by 2 points. ACU will continue its 1-1 record in conference this weekend, as the Wildcats will play Nichols in southeastern Louisiana. Sophomore Alyssa Gerner recaps the team and progress made so far this season.
I think our team's doing really well, just trying to work together and trying to connect passes all over the field, and just kind of taking ownership of each position and working hard where we're at.
The volleyball team bounced back from being swept in a doubleheader last weekend when the team took on and defeated Weber State in 3 sets. The Wildcats returned from a long series of games on the road to begin conference play this past Thursday. Senior Rachel Riley talks about finally returning home and beginning conference play.
And I'm really excited that we get to start our conference play at home, because we've been traveling so much, and we're really excited to have that fan base at Moody that we're used to. So that's exciting. And preseason, we worked very hard. We've been doing a lot of tournament play, and we've played some really big names. So those people have really prepared us, helped our game move fast.
The Wildcats will continue into conference as the team will face Incarnate Word on Sunday. The men's tennis team brought home 24 victories this past weekend during its annual trip to the Aggie Invitational hosted by New Mexico State University. 16 of the wins came from singles and 8 from doubles. Freshman Brad Gleason was the Wildcats' top finisher as he took home 3rd place, while senior G. Gesser was close behind with 4th place. Junior Marco Bensley and freshman Paul Demansky were the Wildcats' top doubles teams as the duo placed 4th. The women's team competed against 8 nationally ranked programs at the OU Classic this past weekend. The Wildcats took home 14 wins in matches against schools including Oklahoma, Tulsa, and Arkansas. The Wildcats' 3 doubles teams went 8-4, led by a 3-0 mark from the freshman duo of Whitney Williams and Carly Nesvich. In singles, freshman Lucille Potier and junior Nada Marjanovic led the team with 3 victories. Thank you for watching the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Hannah Little.
As we go to break, we want to send our best wishes and prayers to ACU track and field and cross-country assistant coach Drew Graham and his family after he was seriously injured in a hiking accident last weekend. When we come back, we'll see how Coach Collums plans to tame the Huskies in today's game.
Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Take a look at today's schedule around the Southland Conference, brought to you by University Park Apartments. Coach, you'll notice it's a light schedule in the Southland today, several teams with off weeks. Your team is going to play 12 consecutive weeks. Do you like bye weeks, and if so, when?
You like bye weeks because football is such a grind. It is such a violent game. When you'd like to have it right there in the middle. And these teams that are taking a bye week right now, they're getting prepared for the gauntlet that is the Southland schedule. And but we've got to practice smart. We've got to know where our guys are, physically, and kind of back off when you need to.
You have to manage that as the season goes along, don't you? It's like we've had 3 or 4 grueling games in a row. I can't push them that hard in a practice.
That's right. Every team is different, and every season is different. And you have to feel your way through it and be smart and not do things just because you've always done them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about today's game. ACU versus Houston Baptist. Now, this is just the 2nd year that Houston Baptist has played football. This is their first official season. They just played 7 games last season, but one of those games was against your team. The final score was 69-12, and it was a blowout from the opening whistle. But you've told me already this week that you really wouldn't recognize this year's Houston Baptist team from last year. You think they've gotten appreciably better. In what ways have they improved?
Well, just athletically. You look out there and you see tall, athletic guys that are rangy, that can run and tackle and adjust to balls when thrown down the field. And that's you keep putting recruiting classes together like that, and you end up with a quality team. They've got some quality transfers, and so they're doing it right. Coach Shealy down there, I mean, he's done it before, and he knows what he's doing. And last year they were just beginning to put it together, and we went down there in a groove. We played really, really clean, and so the score kind of dictated that. So, but we'll have to go down there and play well, and they're trying to find their way quarterback wise, and they're doing well. They're not in a groove yet, and I think we're catching them at the right time.
They did come off a win last Saturday. In fact, they got their first official win as an NCAA program. They beat an NAIA school, Texas College, 72-6. You can say, well, it's an NAIA opponent. I mean, you score 72 points, even if you don't have an opponent.
That's
you
right.
still got to throw it and catch it and run it.
That's right. Sometimes in practice we couldn't score 72
yeah,
points,
exactly.
On air.
Yeah.
And when there's 11 defenders out there, at times it's hard to score if you're not, if your guys are not used to what they're doing and in a groove.
Yeah.
All right, now looking at our team, we mentioned last year we've lost Taylor Gabriel, John David Baker. Now our offense, we're 4 games in, top 10 in the nation. How do you think we can win this?
Well, the thing is, offensively, what we do around here is we don't have an offense that is, hey, this is what we do, and we recruit guys that fit only that offense. We recruit athletes and figure out how to plug them in and use what they do well. And when you do that, this year's offense looks a little bit different than last year. Last year looks a little bit different than the year before. And you find out what everybody can do, what everybody's limitations are, and try call plays and design stuff within their boundaries. And when you do that, and you're able to get them in a groove like that, instead of, well, this guy doesn't fit, so he doesn't play as much. Well, let's figure out, the guy can run and catch, let's figure out how to use him. And the fact is Parker McKenzie's playing pretty good right now. And he still does some dumb stuff with the ball every now and then. But you know what? There's so many quarterback decisions being made. He'll have to make three decisions within about 2 seconds at times with what we do, and it's just boom, boom, boom. For the most part, he's doing the right thing, and we're proud of him. We just got to keep him healthy.
And you've said that already. You've asked of Parker McKenzie some things that you haven't asked from some of the greatest quarterbacks who've ever played at ACU, some of the best who've ever been in the Lone Star Conference.
That's right. We're asking, his skill set is a little bit different, so we're asking him to do a little bit more within that. We know we're still learning his boundaries, and that's the key. You got to learn your quarterback's boundaries, and you got to stay within what he can do and scheme stuff around with what he does well. We've taken a little bit off of him as far as pass protection and making decisions. That a lot of his decisions come after the ball is being snapped.
Interesting, though, you look at Parker McKenzie. This is a tough kid. He doesn't mind you getting in his face and challenging him. It doesn't seem like, at least. And he's now put up incredible numbers through 4 games. He's in the top 10 in the nation in 3 or 4 significant categories like completion percentage and yards per game. Remarkable. Let's talk about the other quarterback. It's also a guy you know pretty well, Jonathan Fleming from Northland Christian High School down in Houston. His first college was ACU. Tell us about Jonathan and what you've seen from him on film and what you already knew about him.
Yeah, well, we've spent a lot of time together because he sat in my position meetings. So he's a good-sized kid that can throw the ball. He can make any throw that you need him to make. He's got really good pop in his arm. Those are good ball. Just needs to be a little bit more consistent. That's what he's hearing from his coaches. Hey, let's make the routine play, routine throw, routine decision just a little bit more consistently. And and he's getting better. You can tell on video, and we just can't give him a lot of time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Give us an injury update. Last week we were without Herschel and DeAndre, but you pulled that out. But how about going into today's game?
Well, Herschel is healthy. He'll hit the ground running. When we get to Houston, he's got it. And DeAndre, we're still kind of evaluating him. So later today, we'll make a decision on whether he's going to play or not. He's practiced this week. Tuesday he did not practice. Wednesday he did. So he looks good, but still, you got to bear down and pass protect and take blows and deliver blows as a running back. And we'll feel good about him in order for him to play. We're not going to put him out there if we don't.
Best case scenario, would you like him not to play if you didn't have to use him? If Herschel goes off, you can always give it to big number 19 as well, Jonathan Parker.
That's right. But if DeAndre feels well, I like watching him run. You know what I'm saying?
Solid.
Watching good running backs play football it's a good thing. So if he's ready, we're going to play him.
Second generation. His dad, Eric Brown, went for $111. He went for 109 a couple of weeks ago against Northern Arizona. So DeAndre Brown, the acorn doesn't fall or the apple. Whatever it is in the tree doesn't always fall very far, does it? That's right.
And we're glad to have him.
Yeah. Should be a lot of fun. Got the tailgate party down there tonight.
That's right.
Danielle Manning made a cameo appearance last year. We hope to snag Danielle. They've got a game the next day there in Houston.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up.
A lot of fun. Daryl Richardson and Danielle came to the game last year. They came into the booth with us and visited with us. Then they played each other. Danielle had never met Daryl Richardson until he tackled him in the game the next day at Reliance Stadium. All right, Coach, all the best to your team tonight.
Thank you.
All right, it's ACU and Houston Baptist University at their new facility, Husky Stadium, right there along Highway 59. The game kicks off at 7 o'clock. We'll have the radio broadcast. Lance Fleming and I will bring you the pregame show at 6:30 on the ACU Sports Network. That's 98.1 FM in Abilene and around the world on ACUsports.com. For Sharon Nemorowski and the coach Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching the Ken Collums Show presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you next time.